What's good, people? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all the good stuff. So, yeah, let's get into it. We had that crazy event on Friday night, headlined by Jake Paul and Iron Mike Tyson. And yeah, that was pretty much a bit of a circus. I mean, it was kind of, if you're going into it, you think as a sort of realist, you're realistic about age and everything and what happens to your body, then you wouldn't be surprised by what happened. I mean, for me, the only thing I can say I was a little tiny bit surprised about was the fact that Jake Paul kind of carried Mike Tyson until the end. He didn't like try and humiliate or embarrass Mike Tyson. He just allowed Tyson to sort of follow him around and he just played with him really. And yeah, it was in some sense, I suppose, if you're a big fan of Mike Tyson and you remember the him in the 80s and the 90s and how much of a terror he was then, I suppose it was a chance to see him again. But kind of, I suppose, sad in a way, because he's not able to do what he could have done back in the days. But at the same time, I'd say it's a reality check, and it's just a thing that shows you that, listen, it don't matter the nostalgia a man has around him and how people really believe in him, and how even in some polls people are picking Mike Tyson to knock Jake Paul out. And I even thought if he gets Jake Paul with a good shot, maybe he can take him out. Maybe he can just have that one last hurrah. But we, I suppose those people were totally wrong, and realism just kicked in. I mean, for me, it was quite a interesting affair, I suppose, for the first round. But it was like, even walking to the ring, you knew this was gonna, I suppose, go bad. This wasn't gonna be that entertaining, from the fact that, as many have pointed out, Mike Tyson was wearing a knee brace, I think, on his right leg or something, and he'd been wearing that through the training camps and stuff, and you knew that that meant his legs are probably gone, and that's exactly what happened. His legs were completely gone. I mean, he done well to do sort of 2 rounds where he was doing little movements, but a lot of the time throughout this so-called fight, Tyson was struggling to even find his footing. He was struggling to put himself in position to throw punches, and he was throwing next to nothing. He was just literally following Jake Paul around. Jake Paul would throw the occasional punch, the occasional 1-2, but never too much, never to the point where he was going to sort of hurt Tyson or take Tyson out. And all it was, he had 2 rounds there where you saw a little bit of these moves, a little bit of head movement from Mike Tyson, and it looked like, oh, he might be able to throw a shot, but it just never ended up happening. And by round 3, Tyson was completely gone, completely out of it, unable to get anywhere near Jake Paul, and Jake Paul was just sort of standing back off of him, just throwing a few light-hearted shots, and he just carried Mike Tyson for the other 6 rounds, and that was it. And Tyson there was a lot of bad signs from him. He was sort of losing his balance when he's trying to go after Jake Paul, losing his footing, and he was biting his gloves and stuff like that. And he really did look like an old man. And to be fair to him, that's what he should look like, because he is an older guy now. I mean, he's a grandfather, isn't he? Grandfather sort of age, going on 60 now. So yeah, it's quite normal. It's quite natural. But I suppose in a sense, you've got to give when it comes to Jake Paul, you've got to give him a lot of credit, because I mean, he kind of got people interested in this. I mean, a lot of people were coming for Mike Tyson, but he sold it well. He sold his part well, that, look, I'm fighting a legend, blah, blah, blah. And there are people like me who were just saying, well, yeah, you're fighting a legend, but a legend about, 30 odd years, 40 years after they had their prime, their athletic peak. So, you're just really cherry picking. But at the end of the day, look, loads of people tuned in to watch it. A lot of people don't like Jake Paul, and they want to see him get knocked out, and such people like that watched it. You've got people like me who just watch it out of curiosity because it's kind of car crash TV. You've got Jake Paul's fans who believe in the moves he's making, sort of the young people who won't be as familiar with Mike Tyson and his career. And you've got the Mike Tyson fans who watched it, and people watch it thinking Mike Tyson's going to somehow roll back the years and he's going to get Jake Paul, he's going to knock Jake Paul out, blah, blah, blah. And you've got people also saying it's all scripted, it's all sort of preordained, blah, blah, blah. And those people watched it. I think we all just pretty much watched it. It's one of those things that it had... from what I understand, it had like 60 million viewers. So 60 million people watched that. And when you think of it, you've got to commend Jake Paul in a way, because he's a boxer that's, he's taking it up, going straight from YouTube, no real experience. He's marketed himself very well as kind of a villain. He's taken on ex-MMA guys who, can still have a fight, but obviously they're not boxers. But really, neither is he. He's they're as much boxers as he has, although they've never really done the sport, but they've been in combat, and there was a risk there that he could lose against Tyrone Woodley and some of these other fellas. Anderson Silva, older guy, and he's cleverly engineered himself. Lost when he fought an actual boxer in Tommy Fury, who's a low-level boxer, but a boxer nonetheless. He's beat Jake Paul, but apart from that, he's been an opportunist, and a lot of people have tuned in, a lot of people have watched him, and a lot of believers in Tyson watched it, and very good job by Jake Paul in terms of getting people interested and getting us all engaged and getting it on Netflix, because even if, like me, it's the type of thing that I'd say, because of Tyson's age, I'd rather not have seen him in the ring, but at the same time, because it is on Netflix, it's with you free with your subscription. People, even us work colleagues and stuff, were talking to me about this fight, and it wasn't really a real fight in the true sense of the word, but even, people with no knowledge, no interest in boxing, they were sort of tuning in to watch this. They were hearing about this. They were wondering what was going to happen, because it was well marketed and well sold. And, both guys cleaned up at the bank. Mike Tyson, as much as I'm like, oh, he shouldn't have been in the ring, and many others are like that too, but the man took home $20 million. So at the same time, whatever negative I want to say about it, the man took home $20 million, and Jake Paul takes home $40 million. So you think about it, it's almost, it's kind of, I don't know if you could say it's genius, but it's very clever, because you think of a Jake Paul, young man, 27 or whatever years old, fighting a legend who's can't really fight at this point. He's old, he's a grandfather. You fight him, you make 40 million for an easy night's work, just carrying the man, because that's what he did. He just carried Mike Tyson, and you can't really fault him, I suppose, in a way, because you can say, you're picking on this guy, but at the end of the day, Jake Paul's not a particularly good boxer. He's not a proven entity in boxing. He's a beginner. He's a novice. So, you can't really fault him. And no one held a gun to Mike Tyson's head or any of the other guys' head who he's fought. They fought him willingly, and they made a fortune. They made the biggest paydays of their lives. So, you can't really. It's not really much I can say about it. It wasn't a nice thing to see Mike Tyson like that, but it was just kind of the reality of what happens in life. You get older and your reflexes slow, and you can't do what you did when you were younger. That's that's how it is. That's how the aging process works. So anyway, let me know your thoughts about this bit of a sideshow, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Let me know what you thought, and until next time, it's MKO Pugilism, over and out.